Turn the mic up. This is legacy in motion. From vision of victory, trailblazing the path. Mind sharp, words heavy, every bar got class. Iconic by nature, pioneer by design. History in the making every time she aligns. Doctorate dreams, but the roots run deep. Built from the grind, now the whole world speaks. Culture, purpose, power when she steps in the room. Drop gems so real, make the future zoom. Yeah.
This is iconic pioneers. Hear the story unfold, where the fearless lead and the truth gets told. Every voice legendary, every lesson precise. Often with wisdom, Dr. Tabatha Russell on the mic. Press play. Stay ready. The movement starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Iconic Pioneers podcast, the space where disruptors, trailblazers, and bold thinkers gather to rewrite the rules of success. I'm your host, Dr. Tabatha Russell, and on this show, we will go deep with those who aren't afraid to lead differently, those who build legacy, impact, and authority that echoes for generations. Now, on today, I have the privilege of interviewing Miss C.W.Hawley. Can I just say that she is super amazing, and she is here to help us help you on today. Welcome in, C.W.
Thank you. And may I just say what an honor it is to be in your presence in your room. We met at the Influence and Impact speaker event, and I've been in awe ever since. You're so well spoken, and so I'm excited for today.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to have you here as well, because I know that you're doing some amazing things around the world with helping others to become the best version of themselves. So we're going to jump right into this conversation on today, because as you can tell, I'm a little excited, right? So what does being an iconic leader mean to you personally?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I love your intro. I love the whole idea of being an iconic pioneer, which is wonderful. I think it's being a trailblazer, right? And discovering and identifying ideas that may not have been explored fully in the past, or maybe God's given you the specific calling and talent to just kind of dive in that one niche or one category. And that's how I feel my business was birthed, right? So iconic pioneer, it's such a legacy to kind of step into and live up to. But I think we're all out here trying our best to do it, right? So it means a lot.
Oh, absolutely. I know that you make being an iconic pioneer look good, right? So share with the audience what you do and who you are.
Yeah, so C.W.Hawley, I am a time strategy coach. I am the founder and CEO of Let's Talk Time, a time strategy firm out of Atlanta, Georgia. However, as local as I love to be, we are universal globally. In fact, we've got global clients. I coach individuals and do B2B business as well. My time strategy firm was founded around one core value, and that's time stewardship. And the way you relate to your time. So if I give you an example of naming the name of an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, you may have some feelings kind of arise within your soul, right? They might be healthy feelings, but they might be toxic, right? And so I feel like my mission is to let people know you have a relationship with time. You're in a relationship, and you get to choose whether that's a healthy relationship, a toxic relationship. And we move people toward time traction around the time stewardship core foundation, but we do that in 3 ways. And that's with individual time strategies, transformative goal setting. So not just SMART goals, but I actually curated a goal setting framework straight out of the book of Esther, and use Esther as an acronym for goal setting, and self-leadership, which I know that you align with self-leadership as well. So trying to change the world one tick of the clock at a time.
Can I just say I love it because for me, I use time blocking strategies in everything that I do. So I literally live by my calendar. And people, when I first started talking about that, they were like, what do you mean live by your calendar? If it's not on my calendar, I get to choose whether or not I want to insert myself or allow it to insert into that space, right? Creating boundaries and allowing ourselves to now, like you said, be the steward of our time, be the steward of our lives. And so I absolutely love this as well. So tell us about a defining moment when you realized that you weren't built to follow the crowd. Like at some point, there was something that said that, you know what, this time strategy has to be a part of my lifestyle. So how did that come about?
Yeah, so I've got several milestones and several kind of instances I can think back to and pull from. But I think one of the most defining moments in my life when it came to the idea of time stewardship was in 2018. I was diagnosed with stage 3 leiomyosarcoma. I was otherwise healthy, had 4 kids. I actually had a newborn, a child in elementary school, a child in middle school, and a child in high school. So, doing the things, managing time, and I've got this whole conversation about the difference between time management and time strategy, but had some severe pain, and I had to go in and ended up having a total hysterectomy. And it was after the hysterectomy when I received my pathology reports back. It was actually Valentine's Day, 2018, and got a phone call from my GYN 14 days after actually 15 days after the surgery, and the pathology report came back that, again, stage 3 leiomyosarcoma. My GYN was vacationing in the Bahamas. And so he said, hey, I felt like I needed to go ahead and make this phone call, sit down. Do you have somebody with you? I said, yes. I was actually sitting as an executive director of an assisted living community at the time. I was actually regional operations, but filling in at the time. So I had a seat. He said, listen, the report is not great. You're looking at 18 months of chemo and radiation, and your life is about to change tremendously. And so that was the moment that I realized time was not guaranteed. And we all know that in theory, right? Our days are limited, our number of days is limited, right? We're not always promised the same amount of days, the same amount of years, even the same amount of hours in totality. However, typically we have the same 24 hours in a day. It's up to us what we choose to do with that and how we direct that. And that is when the idea of time management and time strategy are two totally different things. I feel strongly that most of us are not taught the simple, basic life skill of time management. If you think back, our goal setting as well, if you think back in your middle school days, high school days, if people went to college, any type of institutional learning, we are talked at about time management. Why is your homework not done? Why didn't you manage your time? Why didn't you set your priorities? What are your goals? What do you want to do? But we're not taught a strategy of how to do that. So I strongly believe that time management is something that we're all doing. We're already managing our time. We may just not be doing it well, but when it shifts, and the time it shifted for me, it was like, no, I need to be strategic because I may not have very much time left on the earth, right? And even though I'm going to be so thankful one day to see my Heavenly Father, I have things to do and my assignment's not over. And I'm so blessed to be able to be here today and have had a miraculous healing from the actual surgery. So I actually did not have to face chemo and radiation, praise God. But that was a game changer for me. That moment when time became not guaranteed.
Wow. I can only imagine having to navigate that. You talked about having, from a high schooler to a newborn at the time and all the different moving pieces that comes along with that, on top of you having to deal with your own health. That is just absolutely amazing. I love hearing about how you were able, though, to strategically, put together some things that allows you to be able to navigate that. And of course, like I said, guys, she is doing it really well. She makes it look amazing. Not only that, the miracle that you received, can I just say, praise the Lord, right? That is
Absolutely.
absolutely amazing. We know that every leader at one point in time faces some resistance. What's one obstacle that almost broke you outside of the diagnosis, and how did you overcome it? Because I know that a lot of people, they'll go through ebbs and flows throughout life. And in this particular instance, God stepped in and showed all the way out for you. But as a leader, because you mentioned about being, in senior leadership at the time, and you were going through some of this, for the leader that could potentially be going through something similar or something in their lives that they consider to be, really high on the totem pole. How would you help them to use one of your obstacles to transition that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I feel like leadership comes in many models, right? Many areas of life, whether you're leading your children at home, whether you're leading a congregation, whether you're leading in a corporate atmosphere or self-leading a newer business, right? I'm 6 months into this actual business. And so there's a big story behind that. But if I had to give any advice, I feel like visibility and awareness of how you're using your time, how you're directing your time is so powerful. And people tend to tell themselves one story that is completely different than how we're actually using our time. And so you hear this idea of auditing your time. What I've found helpful is have somebody else audit your time as well, right? Have a
Mm,
shadow, whether it's an assistant, a friend. I don't know if I would recommend like a significant other because they have their own perceptions of your time, right?
right.
But I multiple times in my career had either my leaders or someone, a coworker or someone I was supervising, kind of look, okay, these are the moments my energy level is higher, these are the time frames that I'm crashing, right? And not everybody crashes after lunch, right? There's some stigmas and conversations around things that are not necessarily individualized based on your energy levels, your insulin levels, all of those things that your miraculous body does. So auditing your time, even if it's just 3 days, you will find how much, number one, time debt you're compounding every single day. And then
Mm,
another thing I've noticed, so that's terminology that I like to use in my programs, is time debt. And if you think about financial debt, you
mhm,
can, most of the time you can dig your way out of financial debt, right? You can get a side
right,
hustle, you can do all these things. Time debt
right.
is gone. All you
Mhm,
can do, once you waste it, once it's gone, you don't get it back, right? You can't earn more time. However, you can decrease the amount of time debt that you're compounding. And then another thing I talk about is time traction. So once you audit your time, 3 to 7 days, right? You don't have to audit it a whole month, but at a minimum 3 days, you're going to be able to pick up patterns and trends really quickly about when your peak hours are, what low value work that you continue to get sucked in and drug into, right?
mhm,
And if one of
mhm,
those traumatic things happen, and I hope it doesn't, right? But
mhm.
if it does, at least you know, are you on track to make real impact and change in your life? And that's the beauty of a time audit, is you can make automatic changes day over day. You don't have to wait 3 months to figure out how you're spending your time. You can, you wasted 3 hours. Let's do something more impactful. Let's identify needle movers and work towards those milestones. So I think someone going through any type of situation, take a step back and really visualize where you want to be, but bring visibility to yourself, whether you're doing your self audit or somebody else is auditing for you.
Ooh, I love, love, love that. That is so awesome. And I've observed that a lot of times when we are having some of those challenges, we don't readily ask for help, right? So I believe that leaders need a leader, coach needs a coach, a consultant needs a consultant, right? Somebody there that's helping you to identify those blind spots, put some things in place, strategy or structure around how you now get to the next space, right? Or the next milestone in your business, your life. Like you were saying, it just doesn't affect us in one place and not everywhere else. It has a compounding effect. So I definitely believe that that's a real thing. So how do you balance though building wealth, influence, and impact without sacrificing your authenticity?
Oh goodness. So great. So number one, the first thing I'll say to that is in my curated goal setting framework, using Esther as the acronym, H stands for hard and help, right? So
Mm,
number one, I think as humans, we all have to acknowledge that things are hard
mhm,
sometimes. Goal setting, that framework, part of that talks about you have to acknowledge that sometimes number one, creating the goal, simplifying it, reaching it, that's hard. And because we know that it could be hard and there could be hardships along the way, you have to have help, right? So
mm.
you have to identify that you're going to need help, whether that's divine help. You always need that, right? That's my
Right.
CEO. That's my CEO. And he's my CEO. But you have to identify whether you need human help, AI help, resource help, referral help. What help do you need to get to where you're going, right? Um, and then yeah, so just acknowledging that you need the help. And I'm sorry, Tabitha, I know that you asked me a specific question and I went off on a rant.
It's all right. It's okay.
Repeat the question and I will gladly answer it specifically.
Yeah, no worries. How do you balance building wealth, influence, and impact without sacrificing your authenticity?
Oh, yes, I love that. Okay, so let me get off the help bandwagon. Although I have a lot of help, right? And it's funny
Mhm.
you see these celebrities talk about how much they do, and they never acknowledge that they have help.
Right,
Girl has right, girl has help as much as I can, even if that looks like leverage. Like it's not always monetary help.
right.
Um, I do think I have a sorted relationship with the word balance. And I know that you like the word balance. I've seen it in your intro.
Mhm.
I think there's a place and a time to use the word balance, right? One of the things that irks me a little bit about that word, people tend to use balance and like work-life balance so
Mhm.
much.
Mhm.
And that just digs at my soul a little bit because when I think about balance, I think about like plates on sticks or poles, and we're trying to like balance 50-50. I'm sorry. I have a creator that wants me to be abundant and be joyful, and work does not happen 50% of the time in my joyous state, right? I
Right.
want to serve people and I want to make an impact, but just the 9 to 5 when I think about work and balance, I have a sorted relationship with that. It's not the word balance, it's the word work-life balance. So integration. So like work-life integration feels so much
Mhm.
more authentic to me. I was blessed to be in a corporate work setting that honored that for years and years, where I was able to bring my youngest son to work. And I think you have to be in in an environment that's going to support where you are in your season. And so I actually just had a conversation this morning about someone's style of leadership, and they were kind of talking about the knights at the round table. And he was having a conversation with someone in an airport, someone that he worked with that was at a higher leadership level, and he was saying, "Hey, I applied for this job, um, and I don't understand. You know, like I'm doing all these things. I'm in the airport with you because I'm coaching alongside of you, but you still haven't promoted me to this position." And she said, "Well, you're great, you're talented, and I think you can go very far, but we've already got, you know, the star operations person or the star financial person at the table, and it's not
Mhm.
about your talent, it's about the seats at the table already being taken." So I think some of my balance comes from, and I had to learn this lesson the hard way, was finding what table you were supposed to be at, right? So if your environment is not where you need to be, it will weigh you down. And you'll know
Mhm.
that. I mean, if you're calling on the Holy Spirit and you're feeling that and in tune, then you're going to know when it's time to leave. And again, I know that by experience because unfortunately I did not listen to that for a long time. And I just thought I could kind of work my way or be talented enough to get where I wanted to be. It wasn't lack of talent. It wasn't lack of drive. It wasn't lack of work ethic. Somebody was already in the seat. And
Right.
until I was forced, I was laid off due to downsizing. But
Mhm.
until that happened, I didn't realize that I would have never gotten to that place because that's not the table God wanted me to be at.
I love that. Now, we can talk, we can have a whole conversation around the table by itself, okay?
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
there's a lot of things that happens at those tables that sometimes the environment is not conducive for us. Like you said, the creator had a different path for you. And sometimes it may mean that it's time to build your own table and invite others to it,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
I know that leadership a lot of times will challenge our very core, right? Of who we are, what we stand for, all of that. But what's a myth about leadership or success that you believe needs to be dismantled immediately?
Stop chasing a title.
Mm,
Stop chasing a title, right?
mhm.
Don't I spent so much of my younger years. I'm a nurse by trade. Not very many people know that, but I'm a nurse by trade. And
Okay.
so I worked, I showed up, I did the things, I grew within my hospital setting and then in the senior living industry, grew. And I thought that a certain title would make me happy. And then I reached it. And then I went on to the next one. And I was very happy serving the teams and the people I was serving, but it was not the title that got me there. That's not what it was. I was doing the same exact thing, had the same exact ethics and morals and work ethic than I did at my very first position in that industry. I just had a broader audience. And so when you continue to chase titles, I feel like it catches up to you in the fact that you're never satisfied, right?
Mm,
Because it's about the service. The it's not about the title, right? And so I did mention my layoff. So I was very blessed and fortunate to know that the downsizing was coming 3 months ahead of time. So I had the ability to search and look on LinkedIn and Alignable and all these things. And on paper, I mean, I'm tooting my own horn a little bit. I have an impressive resume. It wasn't getting me anywhere. And it wasn't because of the titles I had held. It was because God said, no, I want you to build this. And so I kept looking for, I said this earlier in the week, I kind of kept looking for the platforms that he wanted me to build on, like who can I partner with, these types of things, which relationships are important. I believe your network is your net worth. And I've learned that so much more recently. But finally, after some interviews and after some, really high level referrals to other organizations and just nothing was coming, I felt like God was shaking me saying, no, I've given you this Imagineer spirit.
mhm.
You need to build your own platform and watch the other people doing it. It can be done. I want you to create something from nothing. And I was like, oh, that's a little scary, right? That's a little scary. Then faith over fear, faith over fear, faith over fear. So now we're just building and moving. But yeah, the title chasing is going to leave you empty. It's going to leave you empty every time.
I love that. Quite often, we find that these titles don't necessarily define us, right?
Right.
We make the title look good at the end of the day if you do it right. Anyways,
Right.
just my take. But I've been there in those places where you find that when the unfortunate happens and you're no longer with the organization, and you go out there and you start looking, and nobody will give you an opportunity. I do believe that God is speaking loud and clear with saying it is time for you to take a new direction, but do what I've already told you to do. And a lot of times it's already there. The vision has already been given to you, but we prolong it because we get comfortable in those seasons of work, right? Those seasons of
Right.
working for someone else. So I know that your success leaves clues. So what daily habits or rituals keep you operating at an iconic level? And I know you talked about the time strategies, but what else do you do that help you at that iconic level?
Yeah, so I certainly have some non-negotiables, and this is something that I coach. I think everybody should certainly have anchoring rituals or non-negotiables. Every night my son is here, I read to him every single night, and we pray together, and that's a non-negotiable. And so that's one of the things that just grounds our relationship. I think that's so important. I'm a big believer in the first hour to 90 minutes of your day. That is the time where I feel like your neural pathways are most open. How are you speaking to yourself? Who are you speaking to? Right. So, my guy brings me coffee in the morning and I love it. But other than that, we really don't have any deep conversations because I'm talking to Jesus. Right. And it could be that I'm still laying in bed talking to Jesus. I even try not to read a devotional. If I'm going to read anything, I'll try to read straight from the word. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with any devotionals. However, I don't want someone else's perspective or tone interfering with what divinely might come, right? So I try to be very, very careful about that. But the morning and the evening are two times that I take very, very seriously. Also because I'm the time girl, right? I'm the time lady. Sunday evenings, even if it's not sitting down with a planner, I'm picking my 3 outcomes for the week, not tasks, not priorities, but outcomes. How do I want to feel? What do I want to accomplish? But it might take 10 tasks to accomplish. But what do I want to sit down next Sunday and say, yep, we did it, or this has an area of opportunity for improvement, right? So those 3 things are huge for me.
Ooh, that was really good. I like when you said outcomes, right? We're not talking about
Yes.
goals. We're not talking about those things. What do you want to be as your outcome for the week? And that is awesome. So thank you so much for highlighting that, because we should take it seriously how we set the tone for our day and how we close down the day by having time to really relax and get into the space of where we can rest overnight, right? Preparing ourselves to be able to hear from the Lord, dream dreams, have visions. I think that all of that is really important. So legacy is more than wealth. So what legacy are you intentionally creating for generations to come?
Yeah, I think kind of going back to number one, I feel like if you're a parent, your most important legacy are your children, right? And so I feel like I have a big assignment for that. And it's tough. I have a child with ADHD, and that's been a journey in itself. And the way that I go throughout my day helps well, it sets the tone for how I respond to him. And that really I shouldn't let anything that happens throughout the day change that tone or that interaction. So I have to, that's why I focus on outcomes and not task. If I was focused on task, I might be screaming, right? um so I think that's number one, the most important legacy as a parent, that you can have a positive influential impact on your children. But outside of that, I feel like my mission, my calling, my divine purpose currently, because I know it changes because it's been
Mhm.
different in the past,
That's right.
right? But
Mhm.
currently it is helping people, or not even helping people. That's so overused, right?
Mhm.
I help people ABC, right? I want to teach people how to create time traction so they can be more massively impactful with their time, right? Because
Mhm.
everybody is called to do something, whether they've identified it or not. There's talent living inside every meaningful life, and everybody's life is meaningful, right? So if I can help someone even just a little bit change their perspective on time, instead of using, well, one day when the kids are older or someday when things slow down, right? It doesn't, because we're human and it's life. And you're going to have a parent that falls, or you're going to have a child that breaks a limb or acts up at school or forgets their lunch money or that sort of thing. Like, you're going to have things that throw you off course. Life keeps going. You have to create time traction to have momentum towards your calling. I'm a big believer in starting ugly too, right? Just start ugly, start gritty, and God's going to give you the tools. As long as you're interacting with him and have a relationship with him and talking to him, then he's going to give you the tools. He's the qualifier, right? Again, going back to the title doesn't mean a thing. God will qualify you. Like, he's your qualifier.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I love that. You said so much there. I believe that God gives us so many directions, right? Or instructions. Let's change that to instructions, because when we talk about utilizing the things that he gives us, he may only give us a little small piece. And you were saying that a lot of times we may change over the course of time. And I believe that is really a thing, because with me being in the wealth intelligence space, or people call it financial literacy, but I believe that we have to be able to steward the level that we're at every juncture. And when it comes to money, because of course that's something that affects all of us the same way time does, it allows us though to be able to see, today is not where I was yesterday. And of course, time will change over the course or the span of, months, years, days, weeks, sometimes that we'll find ourselves in different places. So having the opportunity to implement a lot of your strategy definitely does help people to now be able to take a balanced, not even a balanced or strategic look at where they are and where it is that they're trying to go in order to be able to navigate life at these different levels. So for those listening who feel called to lead but question their power, right, the opportunity that they have, what's your message to them?
Yeah, I think that's great, because I feel like vision, whether it's a made up vision or a divine vision that you receive, I feel like that dies so often in the valley of strategy and execution. And so you can be strategic all day long. You can plan, you can think about outcomes, you can visualize what you're going to do or where you feel like you want to be. But if you don't start, then you're never going to be able to fulfill that vision, right? And so going back to my framework, using ESTER as the acronym, the second E stands for execution and evaluation. And so you have to execute. Like, I talked about this at the Impact and Influence event. You are your own best advocate.
That's
right? You can have the best mama, the best daddy, the best husband, the best wife, the best kids, the best, girls group, men's group. You can have all those people that are around you, which is really important for them to be supportive and positively influential in your life, right? Build you up, but they've got to be honest and tell the truth as well when you get off course, right? Thank goodness.
That's right.
Most of the time they do. But if you don't advocate for what you were called to do, nobody else will as strongly as you do. So I think stepping into the execution part is huge. And then the second part of that is evaluation. People tend to think you evaluate your goals after they're complete. No, because if you're 1 degree off track, then you're going to miss the destination. If you're 1 degree off course, you'll miss the destination, right? So I use a lot of a ship metaphors and like ship and boat metaphors. I don't know. I don't have a boat, but whatever. Maybe that's a vision of mine, right?
Right.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, you have to evaluate as you go. So it's not just about executing. You can start, but people give up so quickly. Right. And that's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing God's really working with me about is keep going. Like, you've been called, keep going, because I'm going to provide. I've got a miracle, like literally a miracle happened this week with
Wow.
finances for me. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm miracles happen. Miracles happen all the time. And some people consider them like everyday miracles, but this was a big one for me this week. And just another reminder that God has to be my CEO. And in fact, I was looking at something earlier on social media where someone was talking about have a board meeting with God every week, right? Not just I pray you do this. Please bless my plans. Show favor over me, which we throw up so often. Some of us throw up so often, and I love that. There's nothing wrong with that. But God, this is what I'm doing. Tell me what I should invest in this week. Tell me how I should spend my time this week. Show me what I should watch, what I should, take in, right? What videos, who should I follow? Those types of things. I thought that was huge.
Yeah, it absolutely does make a difference at the end of the day, because we should be intentional about feeding our spirits, right? The same way we take great care in the food that we eat, the workouts that we may plan, doing whatever is in our ability to do. It is important, though, that we feed our spirit just the same way and build our inner man up on a regular basis. So finally, though, how can people connect with you? Because I know that they got some good information here today.
Yeah. So my email is cw@letstalktime. I'd love to set up free strategy calls. I love to connect with people and have conversations. You can also follow me on all social media platforms. LinkedIn is my favorite right now. So C.W.Hawley or Let's Talk Time on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me a message, but I love to chat because, again, helping someone change their strategy and their relationship when it comes to time is what I'm here to do. That's my mission right now. And I'm going to keep on riding it until God says, whoop, change directions.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure. And of course, we'll have to have you back again so that we can follow up with what you're doing in your space and how you're making a difference and impact in the world.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, I'm honored and privileged. I love this. Thank you so much, Dr. Tabatha.
You're more than welcome. Thank you so much as well. So thank you for tuning in to Iconic Pioneers, where we don't just build brands, we build blueprints for generations. Remember, icons aren't born. They're built by those bold enough to lead unapologetically. Until next time, keep leading, keep building, and keep breaking every limitation. It's been our pleasure. Take care.
This is Iconic Pioneers. Hear the story unfold, where the fearless lead and the truth gets told. Every voice legendary, every lesson precise. Hosted with wisdom, Dr. Tabatha Russell on the mic. Press play. Stay ready. The movement starts now.